Welcome everybody. We're getting lots of people coming in.
I did it!
Hey, how about some ice
me
cream?
Okay?
Where's the ice cream?
Hi!
Yeah, Kim, where's the ice cream?
Well, you know I will get you some ice cream. Yay!
We were worried. Kim was almost not going to make it, you guys. It was serious.
Am I too backlit?
She's like,
can you see me okay?
She's like, I'm having issues. I'm like, what do you want me to do, Kim? How can I help you?
Send help! Send help!
I was like, oh, is Zoom broken? Let's call them.
Aw. Okay, guys, we're gonna get this thing kicked off. We've got lots of people coming in. We'll get this started. Again, thank you. Welcome. Excited to have you all here today. Welcome to the 2022, and that is such a mouthful, kickoff of Green Apron Alliance's Inspired Stories events. This is our first big Inspired Story event for the year, and I could not be more thrilled about doing this with all of you. So thank you. For those of you who don't know, I'm Marie Gill, founder and executive director of the Green Apron Alliance. I'm thrilled to see you all here. And guess what? We're celebrating International Women's History Month with an incredible conversation right now. Today, our community welcomes Starbucks alumni and current partners from over 20 countries. Jessica is representing Asia, China, so welcome. And we've got more countries out there, but we're all focused on helping each other achieve their greatest good. Our nonprofit, Alumni for Alumni, yes, it's true, we all do this for free and for the fun of it and because we love you. But we're proud to bring these iconic women leaders here tonight to share with you their insights, their learning, and their passion. You're going to see a lot of this on building businesses that celebrate the values of servant leadership, community spirit, and innovation. Some housekeeping. Our team, we're going to moderate the chat function here. So if you've got a question, you've got a comment, you have something you want to get to a speaker, please use the chat function. We've kept it open so that we can hear from you. We will be releasing some very unique codes and some special offers through chat. So indeed, you're going to want to make sure you see all of that because these fine guests of ours have brought some gifts and special treasures for all of us. So make sure you check that out. If you haven't done so already, please get your profiles updated on Green Apron Alliance platform. We want to see your beautiful, shiny faces. We want to see your details. We want to know what you're doing today because there's some cool things coming up. We're going to want to check in with you. So if you haven't done so, get your profile set up. And this meeting is being recorded, so we'll make sure we post the meeting out there for you to share. But before we get started, let me give you some quick introductions. Tonight we're hosted by Mikaela Kiner, who is a founder, CEO, and executive coach. Her company Reverb helps organizations create healthy, inclusive cultures. Prior to Reverb, Mikaela held HR leadership roles at Northwest companies, including Microsoft, Starbucks, and Amazon. She enjoys coaching leaders at all levels and working with mission-driven organizations. She is the author of Female Firebrands, Stories and Techniques to Ignite Change, Take Control, and Succeed in the Workplace. So welcome, Mikaela. I'm glad you're going to be taking us through a very fun conversation. But I will just also give a quick update on JODY Hall and MALEK, who, if you guys don't know, they are and have a great dynamic duo past. Both have been boss and employee, co-workers and friends for over 32 years. In 1990, way back, as the manager of the Tacoma Mall Starbucks, JODY hired Kim to help with the holiday season. In 1992, after the IPO, JODY was hired in the marketing department to open stores and markets. Starbucks at that time had 4 markets and 50 stores. Wow. Kim joined the corporate office after that, and she was hired by Deirdre Wager, the company's SVP of operations. When JODY decided to leave Starbucks to start up Cupcake Royale, Kim helped her build out that actual location, helping paint and get the store ready. And the whole time she asked Jody, gosh, are you sure you want to leave behind Starbucks? And quote from Jody, just wait, Kim, it's gonna be great. Kim moved to other opportunities outside of Starbucks and launched Garden Burger across the US. She worked at Yahoo when they launched auctions to compete with eBay. And she was part of Adidas when launching Kobe Bryant's first shoe concepts. In 2010, Kim signed on to help Jody launch a bake mix and frosting product line for grocery stores. We'll have to hear some details on that. But then Kim had an idea about ice cream of all things. And so the two of them thought about working together, but ultimately in 2011, Kim's launched her first store in Portland and today has over 25 stores across the West Coast and Miami. Today, Cupcake Royale is celebrating its 20th year. And Jody's gone on to start a cannabis company, Good Ship, and most recently, and what she's representing tonight, is Wunderground, adaptogenic mushroom coffee. But in case you're worried that this retail connection of Jody and Kim was ending, don't worry. This dynamic duo is actually going to team up for another fun collaboration. And if we're really nice and beg them, they might give us a little sneak peek into what they're getting ready to work on. So it's time for me to shut up and kick this over to some serious badasses. And I'm going to ask Mikaela to take the reins and take us on a journey. So welcome, everybody. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Marie. It is amazing to be here. And I have to tell you, I mean, I love these brands and I'm a native Seattleite. So, you know, food, chocolate, coffee definitely runs in my bloodstream, but hearing all of that background and there's obviously a lot more goodies that I need to try. So just super excited to chat with these incredible women today. And I love the story of just the relationship, the bond, and the ongoing collaboration. I know sometimes we talk about female rivalry, and this is the really amazing opposite of that. So I am honored and humbled to be here. Let's see, I am going to start with you, Jody, and then we are just going to flow. Can you tell me about an experience that you had working at Starbucks where you felt like you had great women role models, mentors, or leaders who inspired you?
You know, I feel like my whole working at Starbucks was a complete fluke. It was going to school at Seattle U, graduating in finance and marketing, buying my first house. I was gay, but I did not know what gay was because it was before the Ellen DeGeneres show or Will and Grace and all those things. And, you know, I got married and I think I knew in my heart of hearts that I needed to take care of myself. So I figured out how to buy a house in Tacoma. And so I just graduated from college. My parents are teachers from the Midwest. You know, there's not wealth involved and things like that. And I'm like, have some student loan debt. I buy a house. Of course, it was Tacoma. It was $68,000. We sold it for double 2 years later. It was a good move. But I ended up getting a job moonlighting at Starbucks. In fact, Ann McEntee hired me at the Westgate store. And Ann was like, hey, you're amazing. Like, you love connecting with people in coffee. And I think you should come on board and be a store manager. And this is 1989. I mean, it's 3 years before we went public. And I saw it, I felt it. And I felt just kind of this culture of having a voice, a seat at the table. My job was connecting with people and telling them about what these random countries were listed on a board that nobody had heard of, right? Like, these were parts of the world where we grow coffee. I mean, it was just so early days. And so I definitely think Anne was definitely really, really formative. I then worked as a store manager at South Center, and we were the second busiest store. We were right outside of Boeing. We're the only store between Tacoma and Seattle at the time. And the line up would start at 5 a.m. I think we opened at 5:15 or something. Whatever. It was a line every time we opened. And I worked with Kathy Lindeman there, and she was kind of teaching me some things. And I just love working with her. Jen Tisdale, who came in as like an intern from Harvard, and ended up being a marketing manager later. I just had coffee with her not 3 days ago. In fact, I'm talking to her about being an advisor around mental illness and mental health and how Wunderground can make an impact there. So many profound experiences. And what, we talk about this, us old schoolers, of what a profound time that was. In fact, Howard Bihar and I were hired at a similar time, and I was kind of assigned to do all these cool projects with him, like Zion Preparatory Academy, et cetera. But I do think that was a culture where women thrived, and we all thrived because we all had a seat at the table, honestly, because of the STAR skills. And so I was talking to Howard Bihar about that, and like, Howard, who created that? Like, that is the lesson for life. Listen, maintain or enhance self-esteem and ask for help. It's how we treat our kids. It's how we want our friends, how we want to be treated. Nobody knows all the answers. It's not command and control. Listen to me, my way or the highway. What a great culture. So I can't tell you, I could go on and on and on.
And I love that it was so easy for you to just rattle off, name after name, right? Some people have to struggle and scratch their head, not because there aren't amazing women leaders out there, but in some industries, people just don't get the benefit of working with as many women leaders. So that's great. And I'm still trying to picture a time when there was not a single Starbucks between South Center and Tacoma. So that kind of blew my mind. Kim, what about you? Inspiring women, leaders, mentors?
Well, hi. I have to tell everybody the funniest story. It's funny now because it seems to be working out, but it's my son's birthday party tonight, but I didn't want to miss this. And so I have 12 little boys doing putt-putt golf, and I'm sitting outside in the car. My husband showed up a little late to take care of them, and now I'm outside doing this call. So I apologize. I'm on my phone and on the run, but I just didn't want to miss this, and I really appreciate being included and just having this conversation. It means the world to me. I mean, I started at Starbucks in 1989. Jody was my manager. She hired me, and I got to have just a series of incredible, female leaders, including Jody, who stayed in my life my whole life. And I think especially in those early years, I met a lot of these incredible women as I was coming straight out of college who, we were just working to create something new that nobody had ever heard before. And I think being, a 19, 20-year-old woman in the room with Howard Bihar and Deidre Wager and all these incredible leaders, on a weekly, daily basis, looking to me for my opinion. And like Jody said, really having a voice at the table just set an incredible path forward for me, being heard and really seen. And so, who has their first boss out of college, be Deidre Wager. I mean, I really hit the jackpot there. She went on to lead many divisions within Starbucks, and I was the president of Japan, Starbucks Japan, and she's still in my life and is a phone call away. Will drop everything to, help me and advise me and just check in, which is incredible. Jennifer Tisdale in the marketing department. Julie Kohia. I can remember walking down the street with her on my first trip to New York City, with Starbucks and just opening the whole world to me and opening my eyes. I always get asked, like, as a female leader, what challenges have you had? And, Starbucks isn't perfect for sure. But it was a really progressive environment in those days, and I feel so fortunate. In fact, I left the company, and I always say I came scratching at the door to come back. I came back. I was a boomerang. Like, it's not that great out here, you guys, and it was a little shocking, to experience some of the things I did after I left, because I just didn't even know that existed. So it was a great early formative experience for me.
Well, and thanks to you, Kim, for making it and for sharing. Yeah, I had a colleague when I worked at Microsoft. She had 3 kids, ages 6 and under, and I was having my first. And I just said, Megan, how do you, do all of this? And she was always really calm, and she just sighed and she said, well, it doesn't work every day, but it works. And so, and I think you're showing this is reality, especially, women in business, women leaders and female founders. So thank you for making it. I'd love to ask you each, I mean, you worked at Starbucks in these early days, and then have gone on to do your own businesses and your own ventures, and whoever would like to go first, but maybe just 1 or 2 things that you learned in those early days that you've brought with you into your work.
I mean, for me, I actually, when I wrote my business plan for Salt and Straw, I didn't know very many investors, but I sent it out to a few people. And I remember I actually got a manila envelope in the mail. Someone printed it out and sent it back to me, and it was covered in red pen. And across the top, it said, "You can't do this. Who do you think you are, Starbucks?" And I actually shared it with Howard Schultz later, and he was like, "I wish you would have showed that to me." But I think what I learned and what the guy thought was ridiculous was that you could put people at the center of your business plan. And, early, I think I tried to tender my resignation early at Starbucks to go into the Peace Corps and do all kinds of different things because I really had this social calling. But I think what I learned is that you can find that through business.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. And that is horrible. I thought it was a joke that someone wrote. I can't believe someone wrote that to you, and good for you, because you showed them. How about you, Jody?
Yeah, I mean, I would just, I'm honestly, I was sitting down with Howard Schultz after opening Cupcake about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in, and just kind of chatting about the idea of, wow, we should carry Cupcake at limited Starbucks, just a few, because I know how brutal it can be when you build a football field size production facility, and then the account, all your eggs in that basket gets cut, and just kind of had this idea, and we were chatting about it. And I was like, Howard, I'm an entrepreneur now. Like he's like, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's your best lesson? He's like, you know what I'm going to say. It's take care of your people. It's exactly what Kim said. And I really think those 3 rules are the secret sauce, not just for a great company, but a great relationship, a great family, a great country, just a behavior that it's kindness. It's not judging. It's listening to people. It's understanding. It's just how we want to be treated. And I do reflect on that a lot. Asking for help is probably one of the best lessons that I've taken away. And I do that constantly, probably to my detriment, of like, what do you think? How should I do this? I think there's this. Should we do it this way or that way? I think that kind of collaboration. I remember Howard Schultz said, we need to build a loyalty program, and it's not a punch card. Come back with 3 ideas. And when your boss asks you to do that, I mean, my ideas didn't work, but it's rad. It's so cool. You're like, cool, you think I have value. And I just think those things are really important. I think we need to feel that we're part of something. And that's what I learned at Starbucks. I think that whether you're making cupcakes or ice cream or whatever, something super boring, it's great. You want to feel like you're part of a team, part of an idea, part of building something. And those simple rules are so profound.
Yeah, that's actually so heartwarming to hear. And I think especially right now in the pandemic and the Great Resignation and the she-cession and all the things that are going on in the world and all the research that's being done. And we're seeing this every day, right? Is what do people want, right? They want respect and kindness. They want to have a mission and a purpose. They want to be, a part of something that really has meaning to them. And I think you're so right. It doesn't matter what business you're in, you can always be in the people business and put people first. As an HR professional, of course, I'm like, want to quote you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was on an earlier talk today also for Women's History Month, and we were looking at some stats, and specifically some of the stats about how few, female founders there are, how little venture money, goes toward women-owned businesses, and then the very small percent of women-owned businesses that cross that $1 million threshold. And so, both of you are in this multi-time founder, serial entrepreneur. Kim, maybe if you're able to come off of mute, if you're in a good place, I'd love to hear. But what's it been like? I mean, what lessons have you learned as a woman business owner that you'd like to share with others?
Yeah, my favorite thing that I always love to share with people, people always say, well, what's your best advice? And my favorite advice is to not take advice. I feel like, especially as women, like I had this idea in 1996 and I carried it around with me until 2011. And I always say, like, our brethren, our entrepreneurial, the men in our lives, like they'll oftentimes wake up in the morning and they're like, I have the best idea. I can't wait to share it with the world. And women, whether you're in sports or politics or business, the list goes on and on. They really want to perfect things before they bring them forth. And I think, and there's always a million people who are going to tell you to do it a different way or to not do it. And so, I mean, learning from people's experience is fantastic. And hearing about, taking what you can from the road other people have been on. But I think we really need to take a page out of our fellow men entrepreneurs and just the men in our lives and really find that voice and bring that forward and just take that first step. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can learn along the way, and there's really great beauty in that.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Yeah, as women, we can be such perfectionists, and we're trained to be so cautious, although hopefully not the next generation, but some of our generation. And I love that. I always say, I think that phrase unwanted advice exists for a reason, right? And the difference between the unwanted and what Jody was talking about, yeah, like go and solicit all the help and support and information you want. But when that unwanted advice comes your way, being ready to dismiss it is also incredibly healthy. How about you, Jody?
Oh, I was just laughing because I have so many experiences with Kim, because opening the cupcake thing in her neighborhood, and she's like, you should open a Madrona. And one of my favorite things that we joke about is, here's what you should do, Jody. I'll tell you what you need to do. But we jokingly say that more because that's such a comment that you get from the people out there. But I don't know. I think that, yes, you have to believe in yourself. I love, I've been a part of this group called EO. It's Entrepreneurs Org. It's worldwide. It's pretty cool. It's about, and you're the only woman, you're the only woman in the forum of 8 or 10. And it's okay, because that's just how it is out there. But I think what I love about that practice is shared experiences, never advice. In fact, the word you should never comes out in an EO session, but you're talking about really hard things, why they're important, the impact, your future, future state or your current state, future options, and what shared experiences around how you navigated whatever. And you can then kind of listen to that, and only you know what you need to do. It's in here, and nobody else knows that. And anyway, I think that's a really good point, Kim. I like that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's talk pandemic, right? We cannot have a conversation about business and leadership right now without talking pandemic, and it's been hard, and fingers crossed, right? Might be winding down, but it's not over yet. So let's talk about leadership lessons, and maybe starting with you, Jody. Is there something that you've learned or recognized or done differently as a leader as a result of the pandemic, and that you want to continue doing?
Right. I mean, that literally 2 years ago on March 17th, I remember Kim and I were chatting back and forth. Kim has like a lot more employees, a legit HR, executive. And we're chatting about like, oh shit, like, what do we do? These are people, what do we have to lay them up? We're going to go bankrupt. Like, all these kinds of questions. And I mean, I think that, in chatting throughout that constantly with all the business owners, especially in our space and food, right, and restaurant type things, I feel lucky that Cupcake didn't rely on, in-house dining, and, some of that lovely food is not so good to go. A hamburger, cupcake easier, but still, I think my biggest lesson is, wow, this business can be a lot more simple, and we add a lot of complexity because we had success and you just want to do this way, that way. And you kind of add a lot of complexity to your business as you evolve, you can. But it helped, I think, all of us feel like an entrepreneur in the middle of however many years you've been doing this business. For me, it was, I don't know, 17 years. And you were like, all right, how do we do this? How do we make it work? What's the most efficient way? How do we pay people more and have less people? If that's, because people wanted to collect unemployment, et cetera. So yeah, it was a profound time, and I hope we're coming out of it. I definitely, some of the things that we did at Cupcake, at least, are going to continue because they're way more efficient, and you have to be efficient. And living in Seattle, the minimum wage, all the stuff, it's super important, but it makes it really, really tricky to have a business like that. And you have to sell a lot of few things. And that's probably the genius of both Salt and Straw and Cupcake Royale versus sell a few of a lot of things in the food world.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
And
curious.
just, relying on team, getting them higher wages, making sure they're taken care of, holding space, not just for your own pain and holy shit and all the things. You have to hold space for every single person in their own situation, and their fears. And it was a really intense time, but I think we're stronger for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That really grabbed me when you talked about holding space. So I want to come back to that, but I'm curious, you talked a lot about efficiency, and what's one thing that you learned to do more efficiently that you're going to continue doing?
Well, at Cupcake, we used to frost cupcakes in every single store, have somebody come in, set up the frosting, color it, mix it up, frost the cupcake. It's an hour to set up, an hour to tear down and do dishes. And they might be there, we're like 100 cupcakes an hour kind of ratio. So we'll schedule accordingly. And man, if you just add up that open and close, and on the lighter days versus the busier days, we do everything in one location now. And it's so much more efficient. So we can pay our people more and still do really well. I mean, that's just an example, just building some efficiency and cutting out the fuss. We made these things like these cake pops or things like that. It's like, when you really peel it back, you should really be like, here's your cake pop and here's a $5 bill. Thank you. Because it's not really the right labor model. It doesn't make sense, all those kinds of things. Right. So you really kind of sharpen your pencil and figured out what components worked and what didn't, lean into what worked. And honestly, a lot of us businesses work together. I mean, Matt Galvin owns Pagliacci and Macrina, and I called him and was like, could we have Pagliacci be like a pickup place? Could they have them delivered with the pizza? And he kind of said, you know what, why don't we just buy like 5,000 of your cupcakes every other month and just we'll just give them away with pizzas. And then he started doing that with other people. And you just saw this beautiful kind of camaraderie of fellow businesses supporting each other. And how could I help you? You're making bread? I need bread. I'm going to buy direct from you. Like, we just kind of came together. So it definitely just galvanized community for sure.
Yeah. And great for the customer. I remember getting the goodies with the Pagliacci pizza. So it's great, from a customer experience as well. And I love the just business community coming together and helping one another out. That's awesome. Kim, how about you? Pandemic leadership lessons.
Man, I mean, we had a really tough time during the pandemic. So we had 20 stores, and we had to shut all of them down at the start of the pandemic, and we didn't have deep pockets. And so, that wasn't going to last very long. And I think one of the biggest things I remember learning during the pandemic was the importance of your investors and the people around you having this shared values with you, because, here I am wondering how we're going to make it to the next day. And one of the first phone calls I got was from my investors, and they said, you know what, don't worry, we're gonna cover you. And they weren't altruistic about it. You know, they didn't take my company away. They could have. I mean, they very well could have, but not at all. And I think when the chips are down, you know, especially as it just shows who you're working with, and have you picked somebody who shares your values and is going to be there in the hard times with you. Because we honestly weren't sure if we're going to, and then if you continue with that idea of values, we had to lay off 800 people. 800 people. And, you know, my father had gone bankrupt when I was in college running his own small business. And so I always swore we would keep the company in a really safe position. I would never do that. And so we tried to do that, you know, and hold true to our values and do that in a way that felt good to people, a lot of extra communication, support, helping them find jobs, all while we're scrambling to try to keep the company afloat. And now, as we're coming back, values again, there's this, we have to rebuild trust with everyone, with our customers, with our communities, with our employees, honestly, obviously. And I think that so much of it is going back to what are those core values? You know, are they alive? Are they living? Are we holding each other accountable to that? Are we talking about them continuously? I mean, yeah, we all needed money to get through this, but I think it's our values that saw us through to the other side, and it's giving us a lot of hope, you know, looking forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can hear that. I mean, I can hardly imagine how difficult that must have been. And yet when I hear you, you're facing a really difficult business reality of having to do the layoffs. And yet I hear that you did it with the utmost respect and kindness, and, you know, we're thoughtful and supportive of people, which in a very difficult situation, you know, that's the best that you can do. And I love how your values guided you in that, and will guide you as you start to reopen. That's really encouraging.
And I mean, I think it's hard to face the fact, like, a lot of companies around me didn't make it through the pandemic, you know, and I think making those hard decisions and making them quickly is what saved us. But it felt contrary to everything, you know, we had fought to do as a business for 10 years. So it was mind-boggling, and glad to be through the other side of that. Looking forward to a bright future.
It's interesting, Kim. I remember those days and the investors coming in and saying, look, we're going to figure this out together. And I was thinking about raising money for this new company, and we've raised more than I've raised in past. And it's in my thought there was, it's all about people, and it's not just the people in your team, it's your investors as well, to understand the opportunity, help open doors, be on your side. And I think your comments, Kim, probably really cemented that for me. And as we went and met and pitched and all those things, that was by far the number one thing. And we just were super careful and choosy about that. So it's a really important component of how you build a company. Your investors are really, really can be painful or they can be really helpful.
Yeah, definitely important decision to make. Audience question here for both of you. When you say to ignore advice, how do you reconcile the input that you get from your people with that statement?
Oh, you know, when I say that, you know, we are very collaborative with our teams and constantly seeking feedback and input. You know, to me, that's not advice. Those are my colleagues that I'm working with, you know, so I have a voice at the table. They have a voice at the table. We're all trying to create this experience for our customers and for each other. So I think that that's very different, in my opinion. And I think that, you know, we get the best ideas from every part of our company, and I actively seek out, you know, advice and feedback from my team at all levels, at all times, for sure.
That's great. Thank you. And just to clarify, that was a question from Howard Bihar. Jody, what would you add?
Oh, I would say that there's a lot of people in the world that want to tell you how you should do things, and that's awesome. And sometimes that's really, really great. And sometimes you've thought of that 75 times over. And I think part of what I'm really excited about what we built for Wunderground is that we've built this amazing team of advisors, and that's their job. So I have a person that built Califia oat milk and Adwala added adaptogens to Adwala. So super, sea monsters, spirulina superfood. Chris Jordan's an advisor who is insane about how you source coffee, how you build, because how you pay coffee farmers. We're listening all day long. Like, that's why they're on our team. Mary Wagner's on our advisory board, and she's obviously connected with Nestle and Pepsi and Coke and Starbucks and blah, blah, blah. And like, investors that we can bring your way, how you should approach formulation, different ways to co-pack. I mean, so absolutely, I love the formal advisor role. I love hearing ideas and collaborating. I think what Kim was saying is that, I don't know, my hunch is that what you were saying is that a lot of people are, well, I'll tell you what you should do, and that's just kind of like, you haven't listened to me actually. And I don't think you quite understand, so you get a lot of that. As women, we get a lot of that a lot.
We do for sure. I actually so I do consulting services, and I remember very distinctly being on a call with the CEO who was telling me how to write my contract and what price to charge him. And you just want to politely say, like, thanks, I've been running this business for a while, and I certainly, if I want your advice, I'll ask for it, right?
There's a little difference. I mean, I think there's obviously, you lean into advisors that know things that you need to know and that are going to help you go farther faster. So
yeah. And thanks, a good clarifying question from Howard, because I know you're both so employee centric, and so by no means was anyone implying like we don't listen to our teams. Very much the opposite. What are some words, speaking of advice and wisdom, what are some words of wisdom you have for the audience in terms of just encouraging them to be successful, or, really helping themselves feel empowered?
I got nothing.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I think that especially as women, I don't know. I feel like you feel it and you see it. I definitely, like, that's why I took that job at Starbucks and left my banking job in downtown Seattle with my finance degree from Seattle U, marketing finance, and came to work for a Starbucks store with all this debt. I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I look back at that decision and I'm like, what was I thinking? And I totally leaned into what my intuition told me to do. And I think we need to listen to that. And I think that's what I mean about when people tell you to do something, you kind of know what you need to do. And you're trying to get shared experience feedback on how, if I approach it this way versus that, or tell me what you did and what you are glad you did and what you regret, so I can help navigate my decision. So I think, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but leaning into your gut.
Yeah.
And not being apologetic about that.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Kim? Helping folks find their success and empowerment, their own version.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think getting back to what I said earlier, I think trying things, not being afraid to put yourself out there and try things and fail. It's not the end of the world. You're going to learn something from that and go on. I mean, I remember when I was getting ready to start the company, people were asking me, it's the middle of the Great Recession. You really don't have much money. Like, how are you really going to make this work? And, I said, gosh, I think I can always go get another job. I've always been able to find a job and make money, but I want to try this. I believe in it. I've been carrying this idea around for 10 years. And so the worst thing that could happen was I'll go back and find another job. Like, I believe this is the time to give this a try. And so, I just think putting yourself out there and taking even a very small step towards the goal that you have every single day is so important.
I love that.
Mhm.
And then there was a question for all three of us about how do we use our various alumni networks to help build our business. And maybe start with you, Kim, because you're on, although you're muted. There you go.
Oh my God, so much. I mean, I have almost everything I've done with my company, I have done through my alumni network at Starbucks. I'm not kidding. I mean, Howard Bihar himself came and spoke at our company right before the pandemic, Howard, which was one of the highlights in our company's history. And we still talk about it. People talk about it. You know, like I said, Deidre Wager has advised me on how to approach international markets. Kathy Lindemann and Wendy Colley have, you know, literally been on the floor in the back room trying to help me fix a dishwasher during a rush and stepped in to help when we had, you know, changes in our operations team, taking on interim roles. I mean, the list goes on and on. If I need to, you know, connect with a creative resource, I have, you know, 10 people at my fingertips, and I've never reached out to someone in my network at Starbucks and not had them just be there for me in an instant. It's an incredible community.
Yeah, what a testament. Jody?
No, for sure. I mean, I think there's so much legacy in Wunderground with Starbucks. There's 5 senior execs that were C-level that were our investors. There is probably 4 of Hannah Sue, Chris Jordan, and others, Jason Sawicki, who did supply chain for Starbucks, is on our team. Eric Lagerberg. Eric was the guy that I worked with when I was like, hey, Starbucks, we should do Sundance. We should create a music cafe at Sundance, and they're going to film these interviews, and we're going to do this VH1 music special. It's going to be amazing. And Eric was the guy that worked with Scott Bedbury in the design, and with, I think, Wright Massey, is that right? And came out and built the Starbucks cafe at Sundance, and all this cool stuff happened. Eric designed the first Cupcake Royale store. And honestly, he and I, probably a year ago, right, Eric? I don't know if you're still on, but, and I was telling him what I was doing, and I'm like, it's all about kind of this omni-channel. That's what we want to create. We want to create the retail experience of the future, not the past. We had the fortune, I guess, whatever, it's not fortune, but, during the build of this company and the deck and the pitch, COVID happened. And so we evolved the kind of retail idea to be really post-COVID. How do you build it for grab and go? How do you meet people where they are? How do you buy online, pick up in store? How do you create a loyalty program that's fluid? So Eric came on to help build out our cafe in Capitol Hill, and it's fantastic. I mean, there's nothing like it in Seattle or maybe in LA. It's really fantastic artwork, vibe, menu, etc. So Eric did that. We worked together in the early days at Starbucks, but I don't even know what the question was.
No, you got it. You got it. It was you answered it.
Am
I working with the network of
alumni? Yeah,
whether investing, advising. Yeah. Putting me in touch with the person who knows how to formulate something, whatever. Yeah. Like
you are so funny.
There's shorthand, I swear, that we can
it's
just
shorthand. Yeah. Can I tell one more funny story? Our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, for those who you don't know that, just kidding, was my former boss at Starbucks, Allison Hyatt. She used to be Allison Palance. So, I mean, the list just goes on and on. We always laugh. I'm like, oh, how the tables have changed here.
Who's on top and who's on bottom now, Allison?
Yeah. No, she's still my boss.
She's still your boss.
That's great. I'll give I would say a quick non-Starbucks example, but one of my early mentors from Microsoft, who I met 20 years ago, which I know because I think I was pregnant with my son at the time, is now an advisor to my company. So I think, again, just these lasting relationships, and you're right, the shorthand and the ability to just get each other and, you know, have that high degree of trust. Okay, it's going to start getting hard because we're getting short on time, and there are a whole bunch of questions in the chat. I'm going to go with this one. How do you both see the retail environment evolving based on what we've learned through the pandemic? You've shared a lot, but I am curious, anything that either of you would add or hone in on?
I mean, I definitely have some thoughts there. I think, you know, we were doing research when we were building out Wunderground, and I was really clear that prior to the pandemic, half of millennials were buying the middle of the grocery store. We're building coffee. That's a staple, right? It's the middle of the grocery store. They were buying the middle of the grocery store online. And why do we need to go to the grocery store? Like, come on, like for staples, you know, we want to go for experiences. We want to go for those types of things. So we were really committed to kind of a DTC model and scale on Amazon, direct to consumer, retail to build the in real life experience, no to grocery, it's an antiquated model, et cetera. But, you know, I do think that COVID's taught a lot of lessons along the way, and there's been a lot of change in privacy and things like this. We're looking at 94%, I think, of Apple iPhone users are saying no to the privacy. They're saying, I don't want to share my stuff. That whole DTC model completely collapsed with that. And we're launching a DTC brand right during that time. And it used to be like, I'm going to put an ad on Instagram and I'm going to pay this much per acquisition. And I'm going to then take that person and turn it into a regular customer. And there's all these levers that you pull to kind of optimize that ad spend and get the best cost per acquisition, all the things. And that's changed, you know, like you're looking at DTC saying to thrive, you cannot, you know, that model, actually, you need to look at strategic partnerships. You need to look at pop-ups or in real life experiences. I mean, I think we're craving in real life right now. So I think places like Salt and Straw, of course, you can't ship an ice cream cone. It makes so much sense and it brings so much joy and human connection, eye contact, a little smile, you know, we need those moments of joy. So I think businesses like Kim's, I think Cupcake Royale as well, are well positioned. But I think that retail and buy the goods, ship them to the store, people buy them, and then you ship them there. It's so inefficient, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. I really think that at least on the grocery side, it'll be more experiential. You're seeing smaller footprints in places like PCC and that type of thing that are way more kind of interesting products. If you want to buy your staples, just have it delivered every week. Like there's no need to like spend your precious time doing those types of things. But it is a wild evolution we're going through right now. So if you can connect those channels in a way and create kind of this fluid experience and touch point that you feel in love with at every step, that's kind of the goal, I think.
Perfect. So I'm going to have Kim add to that. And then I have one more question that we're going to see what else we have time for before we wrap.
Yeah, I mean, for COVID, I would just add to what, you know, Jody said, the direct model has really been important to us. And we've even seen this incredible path forward to possibly go direct to consumer in a pretty mass way, you know, with instant delivery throughout the United States and sort of skip the grocery store. And for us, that's such a, you know, we're all about community and connection and special experiences. And so if we can own that customer relationship, I mean, it would just be a really unique way to sort of reinvent business. And COVID has fast forwarded that.
I think Kim is so smart. All along, she said, no, we're not going to grocery. I'm like, why, really? Wouldn't that be interesting? You could scale. And, you know, as I was digging into other things and thinking about this DTC strategy, I'm like, of course not. You're getting full price. You know, you're selling it for retail, you're full price, and you connect with customers. So you can help them share the love. You can take them on a journey. You can, and it's so brilliant. And you look at like Ben & Jerry's and even Jenny's selling at grocery, like they're going to destroy their retail opportunity and their connection. I mean, that's like the brand harvest when you go sell your company for $1 bajillion and they can go out and harvest that brand. Maybe they will. Hopefully they'll keep it. I think it has a lot more power when you can talk directly to customer, which you have that now. You can do that now. And people are starving for authentic people, companies, products to believe in. And I think that's the opportunity, whatever channel you're in.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, lightning round. I'm going to start with you, Kim. Well-being and mental health, big, busy lives and jobs. So what do you do to take care of yourself?
Oh, look at that cat on your lap.
Yeah. This guy came all the way from India years ago. We adopted him,
Aw.
and yeah, he's very special. He's getting a little
Yeah.
cranky.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I did not do a very good job of that during the pandemic. I'll just be totally honest. I mean, I went deep into kind of like working 24 hours. I can remember coming downstairs from my office very infrequently and just sort of shaking my head with tears in my eyes as I walked through the room. And all my family was asking, is it going to be okay? And I said, I don't know, you know? So I went to a pretty dark place. And I feel like now as the business is coming back and I'm coming back as an individual, I mean, for me, it's like stupid, simple things like getting 8 hours of sleep and drinking enough water and walking as much as I can. Walking. I was listening to an Amy Schumer podcast, and she had her personal trainer on, and he was saying, you know, it's cool if you go to the gym for an hour, but what about the other 23 hours in the day, and how much are you moving around throughout the day? And especially for like a busy working mom, I love that philosophy, because you're just like, oh yeah, you can be active in anything that you do and incorporate it into your life. So I'm kind of back to basics on my end.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing and being vulnerable too. I think that, many of us have had that dip, and hopefully are also starting to resurface. Jody?
I would say that I am definitely super energized by the product and company that we're building and creating. And that gives me a lot of energy, and I'm working so hard. It's ridiculous. I feel like, yet it's a startup. So we're leaning in and evolving the strategy. I mean, we have these cool things that come up that are just like, holy shit, that's amazing. And so while I'm working really hard, I'm really, really passionate and joyful about it. But I will say I am exhausted, and I'm probably could do a little bit better job and talk to Cody Rigsby once in a while and just get on that Peloton and get up in the morning. But I'm trying to spend a little more time with family and friends. I feel like that isolation, it's been hard. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky, pretty generally positive person, and it has been dark. It's been hard. And I can't imagine, I mean, all the next crisis of our time, I think, is really looking at mental wellness, mental illness, mental health. And so I'm probably not the best poster child, except for I'm working on things I love. And I think that fuels my heart. So
Perfect. Yeah. And I think you both are, right? Because you're just navigating it honestly and being human about it, which is all any of us can do. And great reminder too, that even when we're doing what we love, we can get tired and we can burn out. I think people need to remember that. You two have been,
Oh, awesome. I was going to say the thing, Kim and I are working on this really cool thing. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're joining forces for this idea. Maybe it's an ice cream. I don't know. And I just feel so passionate that we have to give back. We have to build businesses that also make an impact, not just for the shareholders and team, but how do we make an impact? Anyway, so that I'm excited to, we're going to have a big party kickoff on May 13th at Wunderground. So we'll invite everybody from GAA, but really making an impact around mental illness, mental health, and how we can all reach out, be kinder, and make a difference, and contribute dollars that way.
Yeah,
be a local advocate. Anyway, so just had to throw that in.
Oh, that was a great cliffhanger. Thank you both. Again, amazing to meet you and hear from you. Very inspiring. So thank you for being here and sharing all your secrets. And I am going to hand over to Marie to close us out.
Wow. So this is really quite an amazing event. I know I am beyond inspired. Some of the notes that I was taking is that, for innovation and direction on how to move forward, lean into your people. I think that was really cool to be able to feel that passion that you guys have on leading into your people. And it's a nice reflection of what we learned to be so true from our time at Starbucks. And the other thing I was pleased and excited to be reminded of is that, you know, GAA is a powerful resource for you all in growing your business. And you guys use the term shorthand. I say that all the time. I can talk in bullet points to people because they get it, they know it, and it's so much faster and so much easier. So thank you for reminding all of us that, you know, we can still maintain those values and those principles that we all cherished at Starbucks, and to be able to take them and amplify them in what we're doing today. I love also the fact you ended on well-being, and I cannot stress well-being enough. And indeed, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'd like to really make sure that you guys all check back in with Green Apron from now through, but in May, we are kicking off our signature Inspired Series event with a complete focus on well-being. We will be bringing in incredible resources and opportunities for our global community in the month of May. So you won't want to miss on that. And we are definitely going to take advantage of bringing this team back together, because I know I need some Wunderground. I know I need some Firebrands in my world, and I know I need some ice cream. So that's all part of my well-being plan. So we'll make sure we get that out to you guys. So thank you all. Make sure the profiles on the platform are set up. You want to get a copy of this this recording to share with your friends, and we want to see you and we want to hear from you. So if you've got ideas for us, make sure you get them to us. But otherwise, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was lovely to see you all, and remember, great, great people. Thank you.
Thanks for putting this together.